Hey.
Hello, John and James. You seem like you are vacationing. I'm glad that you're having a really good time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Let me start by asking the obvious. Where are you?
We're currently in Yucca Valley, which is really close to Joshua Tree. We're in the middle of this amazing landscape right now, writing some new music.
So let me ask, how long have you been here? Have you spent the entire pandemic? Here so close to us?
Pretty much. We've been here for just over 5 weeks, 5.5 weeks, I think now.
Yeah.
And we sort of had some writing time booked here, coincidentally. And then we just kept extending our stay as the pandemic took on, greater deal.
So I have to rewind and ask the obvious because, we're talking to everybody about where they were when the pandemic happened, if you've ever experienced anything like that, and how has your lifestyle changed since we had all of these new rules put upon us, like don't do this, be careful with that. It's been a very strange time. So how has it affected you guys?
I guess as the pandemic started to take shape and, the gravity of the situation started to sink in, we were in LA. We just finished touring. We had a little bit of time. We had this place booked for a couple of weeks only. And so because of the pandemic, we basically had to quarantine for 2 weeks. So we were in LA in our apartments, kind of like getting stir crazy a little bit.
Yeah.
But basically, for the most part, we've been able to be in our own world out here. And we've been able to focus on creation of music, health.
Yeah, I guess we've just really pivoted. We had a lot of things booked and we had a lot of things lined up. That we've sort of just had to, shift our focus from, unfortunately, with the touring side of things, which sucks. But it's been, like James was saying, it's been a really good way for us to be creative. And, as nice as it is being out here, we're obviously feeling the restraints of the pandemic in many ways. And it's just been us basically out here. But luckily, we still like each other.
Has this made you appreciate touring more? Because I don't think that the average person understands how much touring becomes a part of who you are. So you have a rhythm, you're home a little bit, but you tour. So you're used to constantly being in motion. This has forced you to stop. Has it made you appreciate touring in a different way, or do you like staying still?
I guess there's positives and negatives to the situation. It's definitely not what we would have planned to do, as I'm sure it is the case for everyone in the world right now.
Correct.
Being forced to take time out and reflect. And so, that's definitely made me, and I know the other guys, really, think about how amazing it was and is for us to be playing shows to this many people, and how beautiful of an experience it is to play our music to people. When something's taken away from you, you're like, you don't know how good it is until it's gone, obviously. But at the same time, all this time we have now to create is something we've been pining for a little while. And we've been trying to balance that with touring as well as time off to write. So there's a huge blessing in disguise in some ways.
So have you both found that you're actually better friends than you even realized because you're still not sick of each other?
Yeah, something like that. It actually has been pretty amazing to reconnect. I think, like you were saying, you become so accustomed to a way of living, and for us that had become touring. And I guess you sort of are making many compromises along the way to make touring fit your lifestyle and vice versa. But this has been a really good time to just stop and cut and really reconnect, all three of us together. And really, I don't know, even just make amends for things that have happened along the way, and also try and establish goals for ourselves and try and be better friends to each other. So it's been really nice like that.
Yeah.
Maybe you'll allow me to ask this. It's a not really personal, but a lot of people, when I ask them how they're doing, they're like, going stir crazy. And some people tend to focus on the negative, where I have found that I'm learning things about myself that I truly appreciate. I don't need as much as I thought I did. I have hobbies now. I appreciate things about myself that I didn't before. Have you learned something about yourselves that has maybe shocked you or surprised you that you didn't know you had in you?
I guess one thing I've definitely relearning, I guess, or learning properly for the first time is how much I thrive with routine. And we've all been sticking to more of a routine this time with you know, every day potentially becoming a Groundhog Day. Routine and structure is the only way to, you know, create discipline and create a way of having rigor in your life and achieving goals throughout the day. So it's been like learning that again has definitely helped us to flourish, I think.
Yeah, I think part of our routine and part of our reconnecting has been some of these morning gym sessions, but also meditation has become like a big part again of like my life. I've been trying to get back into it for the last 6 months, and this has just really honed in that sort of just being able to be comfortable with yourself and sit in silence and, you know,
you both look really good. Like you look like you should be like there should be a palm tree and like maybe some drinks. Like you really look like you're having the time of your lives. So congratulations, I'm impressed. I want to go back to the last few times that I saw you guys. I've seen you at Coachella. The last time I saw you was this really cool venue. I think it was the end of last year in Brooklyn. Do you remember? It was an outdoor venue.
Oh, the Mirage?
Yeah.
Yes. It was so cool.
I love that.
Isn't it? I'd never been, because you go to Brooklyn and you would never imagine that exists in Brooklyn, and you walk in and it's this whole other world.
Mm-hmm.
When we are able to go back to hopefully doing what it is that we do and enjoying shows, it might not be the same, but what would be your dream first venue? What would be the one place, if you could close your eyes and open them, you would be on stage at this place?
Oh, I think it's hard not being around all these big boulders and this type of landscape to not envision the Red Rocks comeback. So that could be pretty cool.
Yeah. I think anywhere you play would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and I mean, one of my favorite shows of last year was the LA State Historic Park, and I love to go back there. That was
a good one.
That was beautiful.
I think we thrived just being out under the starlight, you know, and being out here again at the moment riding is just, you know, it's pretty inspiring and magical just to be under the stars and the moon. Last night was like the whole valley was just lit up with the moonlight. So
yeah, it was very surreal.
I hear there's a mysticism where you are. Like there's a certain kind of magic and mysticism in the desert.
Yeah, I definitely think we're picking up on that. We've been going on little hikes, you know, throughout the place that we're staying. Also, the place we're staying does have a very mystical element, the way it's been decorated. There's like interesting Burning Man-esque little pieces of scenery, little triangle structures and stuff that you stumble upon when you're going on these hikes that give it this kind of weird, mystical quality, I guess. And we're definitely picking up on that in the music we're making, I guess.
Yeah.
You played the very last show that we had at KROQ. We had a little space called the HD Radio Sound Space. It was tiny little, and you played the very last show there, and people are still talking about it. And I wonder, we'll never forget it, because it was the last show in such a beautiful space for us, and we didn't expect to dance the way that we did that night. What makes a show memorable for you?
I guess it's not necessarily the amount of people always. Like, for example, that show, I still remember how cool it was, how intimate it was. You know, so I guess just some shows have a certain energy to them, or if it's whatever the crowd brings to it, there's a collective energy.
Yeah, it's the vibe. Well, we're here. The reason that we're talking also is we're celebrating 100 years of radio, and I have to bring it up because it's something that I do. And on Friday, I'll be playing Rufus on KROQ to kind of close out the week the right way. And I was wondering, growing up, or even now, what relationship do you have with radio and what it might mean to you? Because you're not necessarily like a typical radio band, but certainly radio's been a big part of all of our lives. So I'd like to know a bit about your relationship with it.
Yeah, I think that the memory that I have of radio growing up was getting background behind some of my favorite artists, and there being a lot more detail and a lot to learn and love and understand about music. And it was more than just pressing play on your phone on certain tracks. It's about a different type of sharing. And I think there's always a place for that in interviews like this, obviously. So that's what I love about radio. Yeah,
for me also, I remember there was a certain ritual about it. Like, that's kind of how I first discovered music. That was my first place that I discovered music, was like a radio station that I became obsessed with when I was like 8. And then I would listen to this show every night, and they would play songs, admittedly, like on the poppier end of the spectrum compared to what I listen to now. But, you know, at the time, that was my way of discovery, you know, and this is way before, you know, Spotify or streaming or any of that. So that was relevant for the time as being a way of discovering music. So I have fond memories of that.
Very nice. John, you went to school with Maynard James Keenan? I didn't know that. I just found that out like 5 seconds ago.
No, we read this yesterday. It's incorrect.
No.
Why is that in your Wikipedia?
What? Oh my God.
So it's in your Wikipedia. It says that you went to school with Maynard James Keenan, and then it calls you the tool of dance music, which I thought was...
we were laughing about this yesterday. You know, admittedly, at one point in time, when I was learning drums as an angsty teenager, I was obsessed with Tool. So it was very funny to read that and be like, I've never spoken about them in an interview.
No, I've never seen it before.
If John had gone to school with Maynard, that would make John like 55 or something. So
I was so confused. And then lastly, since I know you're working on music and you don't really have a deadline and no pressure, but is this something that you'd like to put out right away? Is it something that you want to do maybe song by song, or are you still thinking the traditional route of the album? Because you can do anything you want nowadays, which is the beauty of the way that like these music outlets work, is you can do whatever you want.
Exactly. And also the times right now, I think, are a reflection of like anything is possible. So we're going to use that to our advantage in the way that we want to do it our way, and we want to share music our way. And what we want is a body of work, and we're working really hard on that. And we're collecting a lot of stuff that we're really excited about. So we're not sure when or how, but there will be a body of work at some point.
The world could really use, I can't imagine anything being better than getting a new Rufus Du Sol, even a song, just to kind of dance our way through this. So I miss you guys, and I can't wait to see you in the real world and dance.
Likewise.
Likewise.
Bye, you guys. You look great.
Thank you so much.
Bye.
Bye.